Welcome, my friends. I'm so happy that you're here to get healthy on all the levels. I hope I can provide that. Maybe not all the levels, but at least some of the levels healthier. I'm intending this video to be more for reducing stress, and we all have that. And right now, currently, with the situation in the world, we're all feeling that, and that's human and that's normal. And forgive yourself for feeling that if you're beating yourself up about it, because that just means you're normal. So I'm glad that you're here doing things to get a little grounded and to find the breath and to reboot the system a little bit. So my yoga assistant today is our no-named new adopted puppy that we just got a couple of days ago. Right? So she is just learning about yoga. This is her first yoga class. So we're going to be really sweet and kind to her since she doesn't even know upward dog or downward dog yet. So come to a comfortable seat. I have my blanket here to keep my hips slightly higher than my knees. That's the most comfortable position for my hips. Feel free to add any amount of height that feels good. And for stress release, let's just cross in the easiest seat. Let's not try for anything too difficult. If you'd rather be in a hero pose and be more sitting back here or sitting on a block, do that instead. Something that isn't going to make you think too much about the actual posture. And then what I'm doing is I'm just going to make all those nitty-gritty adjustments, things that are annoying me. I'm annoyed by my battery pack, but I'm going to leave that on for you guys. And let's come into our breath. Bring your hands together to the heart center in Anjali Mudra. Relax the muscles of the face and the jaw. And just think about only your breathing. Imagine that you have an extra set of lungs, and one of the lungs is in the right hemisphere of your brain and the other is in the left hemisphere of your brain, and you're breathing your new brain lungs. So opening, expanding, exhaling, softening. And set an intention, something really accessible, really easy for you to accomplish. So maybe it's a word, maybe it's calm or peace. And when I say accomplish, I mean something that, not necessarily accomplish, that's not the word, but something to come back to that you remember that brings you into a sweeter state of acceptance and health. And inhale fully. Take a big sigh out. And then let the eyes softly open. Shake out the arms. And we're just going to start to explore the neck. So I'm not going to tell you what to do with the neck. You might go sideways. You might go for a full circle. You might just come forward into one side and forward to the other side. Just loosen that up a little bit. Good. And then we'll transition to an all fours position, patting the knees with a blanket or a towel if you have one. If you don't have all the props that I have, that's fine. You can use a belt or a robe tie for a strap. You can use books or even pieces of wood for blocks. There's, and again, a towel for a blanket or a blanket for a blanket. That's just not this kind of blanket. So come to all fours, spread your fingers gently wide. And we'll just do a little bit of cat-cow here and go slower than normal, right? So, and maybe you already go really slow, but go slower, stress release. Go slower than maybe you're used to. So creating these arcs in the spine and allowing it to be somewhat more internally focused than externally focused. So if you normally focus on the surface, go under that. Maybe go to the idea that you're moving from the muscles or from the bones or from the organs or even the fluid of the body. Here you go, girl. This is better for you. And then redirect your puppy onto another thing to chew on instead of your blanket tassels. And then transition into a downward dog or a child's pose. So hips draw back, arms draw forward. In a child's pose, I like to part my knees a little bit. If you like to keep your knees together, do that. In downward dog, you don't have to touch your heels to the floor. In fact, probably better to start out a little softer. So puppy's been with my husband all day, sleeping most of that time. So now that she's with me, we've got this version. And then lower back down to all fours if you took that downward facing dog. And then from here, we're gonna come into sitting either on the heels or taking a block. And if you use your block, you'll part your feet apart to put your block down and sit back down on that block at whatever height. Probably first or second height, not that highest height. If you need higher, go 2 blocks. And then from here, just sit in a hero pose for a moment. So we're opening the front of the ankles, and I still have my socks on because it's a little cold. Front of the ankles and the shin, which is also good for the knees. Breathe here. And then reach the arms out and all the way up above you. Good. Interlace the fingers, press the palms away. Open your heart. Just imagine the entire area around your heart expanding and softening. So opening gently on the inhale and softening and relaxing on the exhale. Inhale, then exhale, float the arms all the way down. Such is life, such is life. And then roll the shoulders back and down a few times. Good. And then from here, take your puppy dog, gently move her over off of your mat. And then we're gonna come to the forearms this time. So place the forearms down, again, fingers gently wide, the elbows are roughly under the shoulders. And then we'll continue with that really slow cat-cow. So this is gonna bring us into the spine, the pelvis, the shoulders, the back. Using your breath, maybe the exhale rounds you down, maybe the inhale rolls you up. And then through this, if we're looking to calm our nervous system and we're looking to soften the vagus nerve, see if you can pay a little bit more attention to the pauses in between the breathing, especially the pause after the exhalation. And then rise back to all fours and draw your organs towards your spine. Extend the right leg on the floor, toes tucked, and then press your shoulders, hips, and heel back. So you're actually moving the entire body back to open the back of the right leg. Breathe here. And then lower the right knee down. We'll do that on the other side. So toes are tucked, toes are on the floor, and then you're allowing yourself to press forward and down at the hands, pressing the body back, opening the back of the leg, opening the hamstring, and then lowering here. Grab a block or something else, something around about this distance apart. Again, a light book, something that isn't heavy. And rise up to all fours, reach the block in front of you, and then we're gonna go into internal rotation on the right shoulder and external rotation on the left shoulder. So in fact, it doesn't matter which way you go. Let one hand go on top and the other hand on bottom. That means one of your shoulders will be in internal or here, and one shoulder will be in external or here. And then from here, we're just gonna go back and forth, and you might take the block a little bit more to to the side rather than straight up and down. You can continue the rotation or not. Good, so that's kind of a movement we don't do very often, but really good for the shoulders. And then take your block up, wrap your elbows forward, and take the block back any amount. Wake up the inner thighs just a little bit, toes can be tucked or not, and then lift the sternum. Oh, she's eating her sweatshirt. Yeah, you like that hoodie. Draw your elbows back, so continue doing what I was doing. We're gonna take this little sweater off, and bam. And from here, lift your heart, lengthen the side bodies, open the chest. So when we're upset or when we're stressed out, and lift your block up and all the way down, a lot of times what we do is we kind of round in, we go into more of that protection sort of shape, and instead we're just allowing ourselves to say, in a safe way, let's allow some expansion. All right, and then from here, keep your block, and in fact you might even want to add another block. You don't need blocks again, but if your fingertips touch the floor, just use your fingertips. Step the right foot forward, fingertips to the blocks, to the floor. Back toes can tuck or not, and then we'll inhale, lift the heart, and exhale, shift the hips back, spread the toes of that front foot. Good, and then we're just gonna find that movement. Inhale, I'm gonna roll up, find that little bit of a wave. Exhale, reach the hips back. Last thing that looks down, again, the head. So you're kind of not leading with the chin, but rolling up. Maybe the gaze comes up. Exhale, reaching the hips back, and gaze comes a little down. Not here so much, but just the gaze down. One more time. Inhale, roll up, roll up. Open the hips, open the heart. Exhale, take it back. And then from here, just shift a little forward until you feel stable, more so hip over the knee, and then shift back. Here's where you get to choose if you want to put a downward dog or a child's pose. If for your stress reduction you need a vinyasa, take a vinyasa if you know what that is. I'm not going to go into that today, but if it's part of your practice, go ahead and do that. So from here, we're going to go ahead and step the left foot forward. The left foot, she doesn't even know her left from her right, which is sort of like me most of the time when I'm teaching. And then fingertips down onto the blocks. Inhale, lift the heart, gaze is last, doesn't have to lift high. Exhale, drawing back. Spread the toes. Inhale, not bite the toes, spread the toes. Inhale, reach up, shoulders back. And exhale, bowing the gaze down. Good, continue with that. Think of yourself sort of like that wave. So we're 60+% liquid, right? We're not fossilized, we're not rock, we're not stone. We can go with the flow. One more time. And exhale back. And then from here, shift that right hip over the knee a little bit more. Move your other leg back, making sure you don't put it on a dog. And then both blocks are going to come forward here. Good. You'll rotate the underside of the forearms up and then reach your blocks. Again, you don't need blocks for this or anything actually at this point. Reaching to the sides. Now instead of the hands higher or at the same height as the shoulders, let's go a little lower, and you can go way lower if you want. Roll the scapula, take the shoulder blades onto the back, wake up the inner thighs a little bit, and then lift the sternum just a bit as you press the blocks back any amount. Breathe here, or the hands back. So safety in opening the heart, safety in exposing the solar plexus. You're with your breath, grounded in your intention. Find that word that you started with, maybe health or flow or love or calm. And then from here, bring the blocks back out to the sides, all the way up. Look up if you have them, combine them, and we're gonna go into a combined block. Draw back, lift the heart. Just one more time. And exhale, soften that thoracic spine, bring the blocks back. And go ahead and place one at the front of your mat and one at the back of your mat, okay? And then from here, I want you to come to standing however it feels comfortable to you. If you want to work a little bit more, we're gonna work a little bit more on strengthening here. So this is for stress reduction, and sometimes getting a little bit more into the body can reduce some stress. So from here, and I'm gonna scoot back just a little bit, you can practice stepping 1 foot forward like we did in our hip opener, but we're not gonna come forward. Step 1 foot forward. You can put your hands on your thigh if you want, and then step into a chair pose. Then lead with that first foot back to kneeling. Reach the arms up, maybe look up. Exhale, bring your hands to your heart. Okay, so we're gonna do that again. Step the left foot forward. And then, maybe hands on your leg. Step the right foot forward into chair pose. Breathe here. Left foot back onto the knee, and right knee back. Both arms up, inhale. Exhale, hands to the heart. One more time each side. Step that right foot forward. Left foot, chair. So not collapsing the spine, not rounding, but right in between. Right knee down. Left knee down. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, hands to the heart. Last time, left leg leads. Other leg steps. Left leg back. And right leg back. Inhale, both arms up. And hands to the heart. Interlace your fingers the other way than you have before, or than you had before. Lift the arms up. If interlacing doesn't work, you can grab a strap or a belt or a robe tie. She had a little spill there. Other finger on top, breathe. Inhale, and float the arms down. And then you're gonna take your palms facing up. And they're gonna face up like they're holding a tray of gifts out to someone you love, or the world, or some people you love. And close the eyes and make an offering. Slow your breathing. Good. And then imagine, because it's happening, that everyone has offered to you, and all that richness, draw that back in towards you. Touch the shoulders, open the elbows down and back, and just circle open through the entire shoulder girdle. Back and down, just kind of getting rid of that, again, that closing in. Not saying closing in is bad, and then reverse that direction. It's not bad. It's just we want to do both. We want to open and close. And then from here, shake that out. So we've stayed really close to the ground because this is for stress reduction. We wanted to stay a little bit more grounded. But from here, we're gonna come up to standing. So move your props wherever it works for you. Oh, did you see my type A come in? I was like, I better make that neat. Doesn't matter. Hey, I'm still okay. All right, but probably shouldn't be in the dog bed. And then from here, you've got your blocks on either side. Let's go into a wide stance. Good. And we're just gonna start to do a little bit of a very slow tick-tock side to side here. Tick-tock. Oh my gosh. Do you guys have kids? I have a 12-year-old, so tick-tock is something I never thought of before. I thought it had to do with a clock until I found out about social media. All right, so from here, come here, girl, don't eat that. Girl, come here. Keep going side to side. And then land on one side. We're gonna take this off. And land on one side and give a little more of a stretch and let the other elbow lift up. So you're gonna allow that to elongate you a little more. If that arm wants to roll up and rise, that's fine. So this isn't triangle so much as a lateral where the toes are still pointing forward. Good, and then draw back down, sliding to the other side. Other elbow leads up, stays there, or extends. Yeah. Oh! So that's what happens when your puppy takes down your lighting for your video. And go ahead and come on up. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, hands to your heart. Inhale, reach up again. And now grab one of those blocks and come to a half fold or more than that. So you might bend the knees generously here or a little. You can go to whatever depth feels good for you. Stay in your fold, find your breath, and I'll go fix the light for us. All right. So from here, I want you to go deeper into the breath for 2 more full rounds. Inhale and exhale. And one more time on your own. And then from here, come to a halfway point, about 90 degrees. You might come to the fingertips on one of your blocks. Turn your heels in, bend the hips down a little bit, and then straighten. Bend and open through the groin, open through the inner thighs, and then stretch the legs. Good girl. Bend and straighten a little bit, and I just don't come all the way straight, maybe just a little bit straighter. Bend and lengthen. And then from here, bend the knees any amount, place that block back at the top of your mat, and then let the arms and head dangle, bend the knees a little more and roll up. So imagine that you're restacking your spine. One vertebra at a time, roll the shoulders back and down and soften that all out. Good. And then take the feet underneath you and feel stability. So from here, I think I feel the most stable when I'm hips distance or even a little wider. And bring the hands together. So even just that bring of the hands together and sensing palm on palm. Go back to what matters. Yeah. So a lot of times we're getting caught up and swirling in what doesn't matter. But as you come here to this standing position, unlock the glutes, unlock the knees, and in your mind, name 3 things that really matter. 3 things that really matter, not surface, depth. So for me, my 3 things I'll share are going to be breath, family, and kindness. So just marinate with whatever words you've chosen. Breathe your brain's lungs. Remember that idea about getting a pair of lungs in each hemisphere of the brain. Opening on the inhale and relaxing and softening on the exhale. Good sit. All right. And then from here, inhale, reach the arms up. Maybe look up. Exhale, hands down to your heart. All right, come up to whatever top of your mat you like. Coming right up to that block. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, bend the knees any amount and fold. You might not need the block there, that's okay, don't use it. At this point is a good point, now that I'm looking down at my feet and my hands there, to go ahead and shift out of those socks, now that I got a little blood flow going. And then from here, I'm gonna separate the feet, hips distance apart, bend my knees, good girl, and then step the left leg back into a lunge. Now here's where I might want to use that block on the inside of my right arch. And then we'll do not a fast movement, not a kind of a bobbing movement, but a slow lift and lower. Inhale, lengthen the legs, draw the hips up. Exhale, any amount of a bend. Inhale and exhale. And then one more time like that. Inhale, get long. And exhale, come into that lunge. Lower the back knee. If you want to put a blanket there, place a blanket under the back knee. Grab that block and lift that up. And we're going to go back into that same position as before. Elbows draw back, heart lifts, expand. So keep very aware in your mind of the rootedness of the feet and what's touching the floor as you lengthen up. Think about coming up rather than thinking of going back. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, place your block down. Step back either into downward facing dog or all fours for some cat-cow or spinal movement, or a child's pose. If you're really stressed out, go to the ground. Get grounded. Place your hands and your forehead down. Breathe. Again, if you need a little bit more movement to release the stress, do a vinyasa instead if that's part of your practice and you need that. And think about the difference between need and want. What do you need? Inhale, rise up to all fours. Exhale, downward facing dog. If you want to lift the right leg, you can, or you can just start stepping that right foot forward. We'll all join in stepping that right foot forward just about to the puppy part of your mat. And then we'll go back into our fold, and we might use one of our blocks for a half fold if that's better than a deeper or closer to the floor fold. And then from there, transitioning to the other side and finding your lunge. From here, anchor, set the breath. Inhale, lengthen the legs long. Exhale, coming into that lunge. And you're not going so much here, but you're still supported. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, taking that lunge. Good. And then just maybe one or two more times, just lubricating the hips, finding the opening in the hamstrings, getting into those hips again. You probably heard we can get into those emotions. I think so much of what we do in yoga gets into the emotional sources, right? So through the hips, through the heart, through the mind, through the breath. And then we'll take our block and lift that up. If you're using a block, elbows draw in, forearms back, lift the heart, breathe here. Good girl. Good lay down. That's a good girl. And lift the block up. Lower that block down. And then straighten the legs any amount. And again, with or without the block, I should say, back to that position for a fold. This time, if you want to grasp onto the ankles or you take yogi toe lock around the big toes, you can. And we're going to transition into a malasana squat on the block or not. So I might heel toe in here and come to a block. Maybe I'll come to two blocks and make a little altar there. Maybe it's best for you to have no blocks, so it's more of that kind of hip release, okay? So either supported or unsupported squat, malasana. It's up to you. Deep breath in and sigh out. Good. So you're going to take your first two fingers, your middle finger comes in front of the ear and your pointer finger comes behind the ear. So there's a portion of the vagus nerve, and if you haven't looked into that, look into it to see about calming your nervous system that way and just overall health. And what you're gonna do is, so middle finger in front, pointer finger behind, you're just gonna press gently in and move up and down, especially that area behind the ear, right behind the ear, and give that some massage. So this is amazing when you're stressed out to give a little sweetness, just a little bit of pressure and movement and blood flow there. And then bring the hands back into prayer pose. And find your breathing. And then from here, go ahead and remove the blocks and transition into seated. Bring the legs forward and shake them out a little bit. And then from here, point your toes forward and then alternate, point your heels forward, back and forth. So opening the front of the ankles and the back, front body and back body, and let that go. And then from here, if your puppy is using your blanket, then use something else to prop your hips up. And, excuse me, and find a comfortable seat. Just like when you started, find a comfortable seat. Close the eyes. Let the hands just find their natural place where they fall onto your legs. And then allow some buoyancy to come into your heart center. So finding a rise of the heart without adding a back bend. So just rise of the heart, soft, everything else drapes. So as if you took a jacket off and you draped that jacket over a chair, let the shoulder blades, let the muscles drape over the bones. Put a gentle, so if you're a chin leader like me, or if you're a recovering type A like me, soften the chin down a little bit, just a little more length in the back of the neck. And then we're going to take a mudra here. Bring your hands together to your heart, and then keep one hand there and press one palm forward. Now, if that bothers your wrist, you can keep it just a really soft pressing forward. It doesn't have to be fully flat like that or fully 90 degrees. Close the eyes. And this is going to deliver two things. The hand at your heart is your safety and keeping exactly in at your heart and present what it is that you need, what it is that you already have. Maybe those 3 words that you marinated with earlier, maybe those. And then with your outstretched hand, you're protecting yourself and you're creating a little bit more safety where you're saying, nope, I don't need that. It doesn't mean that you're mad or you're forceful. It just means you're saying no, like lovingly no, I don't need that. And then from here, with that outstretched hand, reach that up, back, and down, opening the shoulder, and come all the way to your prayer pose. Now, switching sides, keeping the other hand at your heart, press the other palm away. You can use the same words, you can use the same things you want to keep, or add something different that you know is working for you. You want to keep that present or grow a little bit more inside you. And then just some security and pressing away gently, protecting yourself from what it is that you don't need, don't want, don't say yes to. Sometimes the healthiest word we use is no. And sometimes it's yes. Find your breath. Protect yourself. And then reach that outstretched arm up and back and down and back to Anjali Mudra at the heart. Take a deep breath in and sigh out. From here, we'll transition onto our backs for relaxation. So if you want to put a blanket over your mat or a blanket underneath the knees or do legs up the wall, Viparita Karani, any of those would be tremendous options for you. I'm just going to go ahead and come down naturally. And if it feels better for you to have your knees bent, then you can go ahead and bend the knees there. And then from here, you're going to find your breathing in the position that feels the very, very best to you. And I want you to be kind of picky about that position at first. So you can make all those adjustments to your clothes, to your spine, to your back, to your props, so that you can really sink in when you're in that perfect position. And then from here, give your weight to the floor. Give your weight to the earth. And know that the earth can hold you and support you. And then think of the things in your life that are going right. You have a breath, shelter, clean water, maybe the support of family or friends. You are able to move, right, in these ways, even if it's modified. Think of the simple things that we might take for granted, the things that are working. And just rest. You deserve rest. Thank you so much for joining me, for actually putting in the time for this type of a practice that is so beneficial and so necessary in our world and all the things that are going on, that you can still find a deeper sense of self. And I wish you a wonderful rest of your day. My 12-year-old son told me to tell you to like and subscribe to this video if it served you. And I would really appreciate that. And share it with your friends. Namaste.